Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine Davidson. I work at the Tulsa Health Department out north. Today we are making parfaits with peaches and apples, as well as fresh spring pasta made with white beans instead of heavy cream. Come along and see how we do it today. I teach classes 2 to 3 times a month at the Tulsa Health Department most evenings. Please sign up and have a good time with us. All right, so we are making a spring Alfredo pasta. This is a delicious take on Alfredo with a little less calories, a little less cholesterol, more protein. So I'm going to start off with some shallots. I love a shallot. It is in the family of onion, just a little bit more delicate in flavor. And I'm just going to pull this off, and we're going to do like a small mince on these. Now you can use shallots, you can use onions if you don't have shallots. Sometimes these are hard to come by. But if you can, shallots are really nice in pasta. Gives it a nice delicate flavor. So we're just going to take that to the compost later. And then I'm just going to cut these in half and just do a nice little mince. Now I like mine nice and small. I think it blends in with the sauce really well. And then I'm just going to cut this last one up here. And if it's not small enough, you can always run your knife through it once more, just to kind of get it to a nice mince, if that's what you prefer. Now, while that is done, we're going to go ahead and turn on our stove and add some ground turkey to our pan. We'll turn it on at about medium. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil because this is a low-fat turkey, so it doesn't have a lot of fat, so we're going to add a little bit of healthy fat to that. One thing I like about using ground turkey instead of a sausage is that we can control what goes into it. One of the tricks that I've learned doing this is that if you use a couple of seasonings, now you can look up a turkey sausage and you'll see a list of seasonings that you need to put in. But if you use something like a poultry seasoning as well as an adobo, it gives you that same turkey flavor. So I use about a teaspoon of each, adobo and some poultry seasoning. And it gives me the sagey sausage flavor that I like. And this goes really good in your pasta. So we're just going to let that cook up and crumble. Okay. Now while that's doing that, I'm going to move my shallots over to our plate here and mince up some garlic that we're going to add to your sauce as well. I'm a garlic lover, so I use several cloves. And you can use to your as much as you like. I'm using 4 small cloves of garlic and just doing a mince. And I'm just running my knife through it. I always try to promote knife safety. Make sure your knife is sharp. You know where your hands are at all times. You have a nice grip on it. Another way to keep fresh garlic is to do it in batches. If you use a lot of garlic like I do, that's something you can think about doing too. All right, so we got our minced shallots. We have our garlic. I'm going to go ahead and put this in our compost. See, our sausage is coming together really nice. We want to cook this until it's all the way cooked through. Now, since we have our 2 bases done, let's go ahead and work on our sauce. And this is a very interesting sauce for the fact that instead of using heavy cream, we're going to be using beans, white beans. When I first did this recipe, I was like, this can't tastes good. But once I tried it and played with the spices a little bit, I was surprised by the flavor. Now, I wouldn't call it an Alfredo. I don't want to get, you know, beat up by anybody. So it may not exactly be an Alfredo, but it's a nice creamy sauce that's a substitute if you're looking for that and kind of want to cut back on the calories a little bit. So we have some rinsed off white beans. You can use cannellini, you can use white navy. We just want them white so that it blends in like with the sauce. We're going to add them to our mixer. To this, we're going to add a cup of cottage cheese. We're also going to add about a fourth of a cup of stock. This is some vegetable stock. You can use chicken if you prefer. And then we're going to have some nutritional yeast, which is rich with B vitamins and protein as well. And this is about a fourth a cup of that. A little bit of Parmesan. Now, these are added seasonings. So we have some garlic and onion powder to that. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of sweetener. Now, the sweetener isn't to make it sweet. It's just to balance all the flavors on the tongue. And to that, we're going to blend. You want a really nice creamy consistency. This looks about right. I'm going to add a little bit of lactose-free milk in there, just a little bit, and some salt and pepper. Now, depending on the broth you use, I use the low sodium broth, so I'm going to add 2 pinches of salt and pepper to our sauce. And then I'm going to blend one more time. And you're looking for about this consistency. So nice and creamy white sauce. So we're going to put this aside. Our sausage should be about 75% done. We're going to go ahead and add our shallots. Now remember, this is a low fat protein. So adding a little fat to it may be necessary. We added a little bit of olive oil in the beginning. I'm going to add a little bit more just so we can get that going. About a teaspoon or so should be enough. While that's cooking down, let's go ahead and work on our yogurt parfait. All right, so now for our peach and apple parfaits. We have some frozen peaches here, so I'm just going to put this in a skillet. We're going to add a little bit of water to this. Not a whole bunch, probably about a teaspoon or so. To this, we're going to add some lemon juice. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of allulose, so it's an alcohol sugar. Doesn't spike the insulin. It's a nice sweetener, comparable to regular sugar, so there's no aftertaste, which is why I like to use it. We also have some cinnamon and nutmeg. We're going to use about a teaspoon of cinnamon and about a fourth of a teaspoon of nutmeg. And then about a tablespoon of maple syrup. Going to let that cook down a little bit. While that's cooking, we're going to make our yogurt. So for our yogurt, I have some just plain Greek non-fat yogurt. And I like using the plain because we get to put what we want into it. So we get to control the ingredients. So this is nothing added to it, no sweetener or anything like that. To this, we're going to add, again, some of that allulose sugar, which is that alcohol sugar that doesn't spike the insulin. About 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to mix. One thing I like making my own yogurt is that I can customize the taste to exactly how I like it. Which means I can add a little cinnamon, I can add a little ginger, I can do some fun stuff with it. So once that's blended pretty well, I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice, again, to help with all the taste buds on your tongue, and a little bit of maple syrup. I like mixing in a little bit of maple syrup just so that it balances out the non-caloric sweeteners. So you're eating less sugar, because most of the sweetness is coming from something that's not going to spike your insulin. To this, I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla. You can also add some almond extract. I love adding almond extract to my yogurts as well. And then you can taste to see where you are. Pretty good. I would add a little bit more maple syrup to that. And I think we're set to go. Now let's go ahead and check on our pasta. It's looking pretty good. You see our sausage and our shallots mixing in really well together. Now we're going to go ahead and add our garlic. And then we're going to add our vegetables too. So for our vegetables, we have some peas, some broccoli, as well as some asparagus. Now you can use any type of vegetables you like. You want to cook your veggies until your asparagus turns like a nice bright green and it's tender. So you want to cook on medium. As you can see, this plate is full of vegetables, protein, and then our sauce is just going to be added protein to that. Now to this, you can add a pinch of salt and pepper. It's going to let that cook. Next, we're going to add our pasta and then our sauce. So while that is being done, let's go ahead and start our apple parfait. So we're going to first check our peaches. And you want it to simmer for a little bit and come together really nice. I already have some made, so we're going to be using that for the final product. You can layer these any way you like. I just like putting my fruit at the bottom. And so I'll add my fruit. And then with some granola or your favorite type of walnuts or some hemp seeds or anything of that nature. You can also top with some fresh fruit as well. Now this can be a breakfast or it can be a dessert. If you want it to be a dessert, you can add a little whipped cream if you like, just to make yourself feel special, just like that. And those are our apple parfaits. All right, and then our veggies are getting nice and tender. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and add our pasta. Now this is some chickpea pasta. So it's made with chickpeas. So it also has protein in it. So you're just getting a wallop of protein in this dish. And then we're gonna add our creamy pasta. Now, if you want to thin this out a little bit, a good idea would be to save some of your pasta water and use that to add a little bit of water to it. I have some saved pasta water here. I'm gonna add a little bit to it to thin it out. And then we're going to let this cook on medium until it's warmed through. You can also add some red pepper flakes, maybe even like a little cayenne, add some other vegetables, maybe some mushrooms. You can kind of customize this to pretty much however you like to. The real differences is your base. So you're using your beans and your cottage cheese instead of heavy cream. So after you let it cook for about 5 to 10 minutes, you'll taste for seasonings. I always like to add a little bit of citrus. So we'll go ahead and do that now. When I add my citrus, I usually just put my hand over it, just so don't have any cuts, so you don't put the seeds in. Just like that. Blender in. I call this a spring pasta because it's full with veggies. We also have some healthy protein, lean protein, and a nice sauce that's creamy but not too heavy. All right, so at this point, we are going to taste for seasoning. I'll grab a fork here. Pretty good. I would add a little bit of pepper personally. So we're gonna add a little bit of red pepper just to give it a little kick. And a little bit of salt and pepper. And we are done. You have a nice creamy pasta. We're gonna add a little bit of mozzarella there. And there you have it. My spring pasta made with white beans and cottage cheese. You'd never know by looking. Nice and a healthy version of Alfredo, something a little bit lighter, but still filling and satisfying.